The recovery space is not neutral. It is structured around the creator's own collapse. And nobody knows that better than myself. In MPIT, all symbolic structures are relational. Nothing exists in isolation, not even recovery content. So when a trauma survivor enters the digital recovery space, they do not necessarily step into safety. They step into another person's architecture of collapse. Every content creator has a personal ASR1, annihilatory trauma, false self casing, ASR2 structure, internalized paracosmic reflex, ASR3, and most are unaware that what they call helping others is actually a libidinal projection loop, a simulated self repair, an unconscious attempt to regulate their own split. Their audience is not their community, it is their containment system. The content is not information, it is exformation, the spilling of unresolved self parts through the digital mirror. The creator split becomes the community's structure. MPIT posits that collapse creates psychic inversion. The internal object world becomes the external source of regulation. The self is no longer author, but reactive script. This applies not only to individuals, but to systems, especially content based communities, where the creator becomes the new libidinal or persecutary object. The followers reenact object seeking, idealization, dependency, and betrayal. The creator's unresolved split becomes the structure that governs engagement. Examples such as creators who demonize narcissists unconsciously position themselves as the redeemer object, but spend little to no time understanding the underlying psychic structure of the narcissist themselves. Creators who constantly disclose trauma are looping through ASR3, sustaining their own simulation. Creators who idealize empaths or scapegoats are likely splitting the internal object world, rewarding followers who mirror their own false self image. What looks like healing is often a distributed simulation of unresolved trauma. It's not there in malice, but it exists in form. It is wrapped in likes, shares, and dopamine regulation. The algorithm is the anti-libidinal object. MPIT's symbolic lens shows how AI platforms, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, reward engagement, not accuracy, surface reactivity, not repair, mirror fantasy, and not reality. In this configuration, the algorithm becomes the symbolic enforcer. The creator becomes the false self avatar. The followers become cathectic regulators. And any deviation from the fantasy, nuance, ethics, uncertainty is punished. This is IMRA, inverse mirrored reflexive apathy at scale. The system cares about your pain only as long as it performs. Your collapse must become content or it disappears. Simulated healing equals real consequences. Survivors inside this ecosystem begin to mirror the creators, not themselves, lose access to their symbolic authorship, start managing internal trauma through external scripts. The structure becomes addictive because it simulates object constancy. It rewards emotional disclosure. It offers identity coherence through symbolic alignment, such as I am an empath or I am a scapegoat. But none of these are the self. They are prosthetics for collapsed symbolic order. MPIT's final assertion: the recovery space is not just contaminated, It is colonized by the creator's unresolved introjects, the algorithms mirroring logic, followers' desperate hunger for an organizing object, and the loop continues. MPIT's intervention, reclaiming the gate. To truly heal inside or outside the recovery space, you firstly have to recognize the loop. You are inside someone else's simulation. Disidentify from the false self structures offered. No label is your identity. Rupture the gaze. You do not need to be seen to be real. Re enter your own organizing gate. ASR2 must become authorship, not adaptation. Break the mirrored loop. Do not seek yourself through someone else's need. The recovery space is not your home. Far from it. It is the symbolic architecture of someone else's disordered relating. Your healing will only begin when you leave their house and build your own. Peace out. Loads of love.